Hey everyone, and welcome to this deep dive.
Yeah.
All about Ramadan.
Specifically for
Especially for those of you who are new to Islam and maybe
feeling a little
overwhelmed about...
overwhelmed your first Ramadan.
Yeah, it's like a whole new world, isn't it?
Yeah.
So much to learn and experience.
Totally.
But don't worry.
Yeah.
We're here to break it all down.
We are.
Make it a little less daunting.
For sure. And one of the first things that struck me looking at all these sources you sent over is that Ramadan is way more than just not eating and drinking.
Right.
You know, it's about this idea of taqwa, which honestly sounds a bit intimidating at first.
I get that.
Yeah.
It's a big concept, right?
It is.
But really, taqwa is about developing a deeper awareness of Allah in every aspect of your life. It's about making conscious choices that bring you closer to Him.
So it's not just about outward actions.
But also about what's happening in your heart and mind.
Exactly.
Okay.
Think of it like a spiritual muscle.
Uh-huh.
You're strengthening during Ramadan. You're training yourself to be more mindful, more grateful, and more connected to Allah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But let's back up a bit for anyone who's brand new to this.
Sure.
What exactly is Ramadan and why is it so important in Islam?
So you might be surprised to know that Ramadan isn't on a fixed date.
Oh,
it shifts throughout the year.
Okay.
Because it follows the lunar calendar.
Makes sense.
And out of all the months,
this
one holds a special place in the hearts of Muslims.
Uh-huh.
Our sources describe it as a time of intense spiritual focus.
Okay.
Almost like hitting a reset button on your connection with Allah.
So it's the 9th month of the Islamic calendar.
That's right.
And considered the most sacred time of year.
Yeah. Considered the most sacred time of year.
Got it.
And one of the key pillars of Ramadan is fasting, which means abstaining from food and drink from dawn till sunset.
I know some people might hear that and think it sounds pretty tough.
Right.
But I'm seeing a lot in these sources about how it's not about punishment or deprivation.
That's a common misconception.
Okay.
Fasting during Ramadan is about so much more than just the physical act.
Okay.
It's about cultivating self-discipline, strengthening your willpower, and learning to appreciate the blessings you might normally take for granted.
So it's about shifting your focus from worldly desires
Exactly.
to something much deeper.
Exactly. It's a chance to step back from the busyness of life and really focus on your relationship with Allah.
Okay.
And one of the things I find really fascinating is the concept of empathy that's tied into fasting.
Oh, yeah. The sources talked about that.
Uh-huh.
It's about experiencing hunger and thirst yourself.
Yeah.
So you can better understand the struggles of those who don't have enough.
Right. It's a powerful reminder to be grateful for what we have.
Yes.
And to be more compassionate towards those in need.
Absolutely. So we've talked about the why behind Ramadan.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of new Muslims are probably wondering about the how.
Yeah.
Like, what does a typical day look like during Ramadan? What are some practical things they should know?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
It's definitely helpful to have a game plan.
For sure.
Especially for your first Ramadan.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And speaking of game plans.
Yeah.
One of the first things our sources mention is the importance of starting your fast.
Okay.
With the right intention or niyya.
The niyya is crucial. It's basically like setting your internal compass for the day before dawn.
Yeah.
You're making a conscious decision that this fast is for Allah and you're doing it for His sake.
So it's not just about going through the motions.
Right.
It's about having that heartfelt connection to your purpose.
Exactly. And it actually helps you stay focused throughout the day because you're constantly reminding yourself why you're doing this.
Okay, so you've set your intention. The sun's about to rise.
Okay.
What's next?
Next comes suhoor.
Suhoor.
The pre-dawn meal.
Okay.
This is your chance to fuel up before the fasting begins.
And trust me, you don't want to skip this.
No, you don't.
I've read all about how important suhoor is.
It's essential.
Okay.
Think of it as your energy reserve for the day.
Yeah.
You want to choose foods that will keep you feeling full and energized for as long as possible.
So what kind of foods are we talking about?
Well, our sources recommend focusing on complex carbs.
Okay.
Like oats and whole grains.
Okay.
For sustained energy.
Makes sense.
Dates are also great.
Yeah.
Because they're packed with natural sugars and fiber.
Uh-huh. And of course, hydration is key.
Absolutely.
I was going to say water is a must.
You want to make sure you're well hydrated
Yeah.
before the fast begins.
Yeah. Okay, so You've eaten suhoor, you've made your intention, the sun's up.
Yep.
And the fast has officially begun.
Right.
Now what?
Now what?
I imagine the next several hours could feel pretty long.
They can.
Especially first.
But that's where the real beauty of Ramadan comes in.
Okay.
This is your chance to truly immerse yourself in the spiritual side of things.
Okay. I'm intrigued. What do you mean?
Well, think about it.
Okay.
You're intentionally abstaining from things your body normally craves.
Yeah.
That creates a space for something deeper to emerge.
So you're more in tune with your spirituality.
Yes.
Because you're not constantly distracted by physical needs.
Precisely.
Okay.
Use this time for things that nourish your soul.
Yeah.
Prayer, reading the Quran.
Okay.
Listening to Islamic lectures, reflecting on your life, or even just sitting in quiet contemplation.
It's about actively filling that space with something meaningful.
Exactly.
Got it.
And you might be surprised by how much peace and clarity you find in those moments.
So we've made it through the day the sun is setting, and it's time to break the fast.
Yes.
What's the best way to approach iftar?
So iftar is a time of immense gratitude and celebration.
Okay.
It's the moment you get to experience the sweetness of breaking your fast after a day of devotion and self-discipline.
I love that there's a specific way to do it, too.
Yeah.
It's like following in the footsteps of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him.
He used to break his fast with dates and water, then have a light meal before the main course.
It's such a beautiful tradition.
It is a beautiful tradition.
And it makes sense, too.
Yeah.
You don't want to shock your system after a day of fasting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about easing back into things gradually.
So we've covered a lot of the practical aspects of fasting during Ramadan, but I'm really curious to dive deeper into the spiritual side of things. What are some of the profound benefits that people experience during this month?
That's where things get really interesting.
Okay.
You know, Ramadan is often described as a period of intense spiritual transformation, a time when the gates of paradise are opened and the gates of hell are closed.
That imagery is really powerful.
It is.
What do you think that means?
So what does that mean?
For someone experiencing Ramadan for the first time?
It's a beautiful way of expressing the heightened spiritual awareness and potential for growth that comes with Ramadan. Your good deeds are multiplied. Your prayers are more readily answered. And it's a time of immense forgiveness and mercy.
Wow, that's incredible.
It is.
It's like this incredible opportunity to draw closer to Allah than ever before.
Exactly. Think of it like a spiritual detox. You're cleansing your heart, renewing your faith, and strengthening your connection with Allah.
So it's not just about abstaining from food and drink.
Right.
It's about actively cultivating a deeper spiritual connection.
Precisely. It's a chance to break bad habits. Strengthen your prayer. Reconnect with the Quran. And seek forgiveness for any past mistakes. No matter where you are in your spiritual journey. Ramadan offers a fresh start.
That's incredibly powerful.
It is.
It makes you realize that Ramadan is about so much more than just the physical act of fasting. It's a journey of self-discovery, deepening faith, and drawing closer to Allah.
And remember, you're not alone on this journey. You're now part of a global Muslim community. The Ummah of Muhammad, peace be upon him, united in faith and purpose.
That's so true.
It is.
Knowing that millions of people around the world are sharing this experience with you creates such a powerful bond.
It's a beautiful reminder that even in our individual struggles and triumphs, we're part of something much larger than ourselves.
We've covered a lot of ground in this first part of our deep dive.
We have.
We've talked about the spiritual significance of Ramadan, the practical steps involved in fasting, and the amazing sense of community that comes with it.
But there's so much more to explore.
There is.
In the next part.
Yeah.
We'll delve into how to carry the spirit of Ramadan with you throughout the year and address some common challenges and misconceptions that new Muslims often face.
So stay tuned for part 2.
We'll be right back after a short break.
We'll be right back.
Yeah.
After a short break.
That's good.
Okay. See you then.
See you then. Welcome back to our deep dive into Ramadan for new Muslims. Before we moved on, we were talking about that feeling of being part of something bigger, that global community during Ramadan.
Yeah, such a powerful feeling, right? Knowing that millions of people around the world are going through the same experience, sharing the same struggles and triumphs.
Exactly. And that sense of connection doesn't have to end when Ramadan is over.
Right.
In fact, one of the things that kept coming up in the research is how important it is to carry the spirit of Ramadan with you throughout the year.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But I think it's also where a lot of people, especially new Muslims, might start to feel overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do you maintain that level of spiritual intensity in your everyday life?
It's a valid concern, but the key is to focus on small, sustainable changes rather than trying to overhaul your entire life overnight.
So instead of aiming for perfection, it's about making gradual progress.
Exactly. And remember, it's a journey, not a destination. You're constantly learning and growing, and there will be ups and downs along the way.
Okay, so what are some practical steps someone can take to keep that Ramadan spirit alive after the month ends?
Well, one of the most important things is to maintain a consistent connection with the Quran. You've spent a whole month immersing yourself in its words, so don't let that connection fade.
So how do you suggest someone approach that? I mean, life gets pretty busy once Ramadan is over.
Even setting aside just 10 or 15 minutes each day to read and reflect on the Quran can make a huge difference. Consistency is key here.
It's like anything else. If you make it a habit, it becomes easier to stick with it.
Absolutely. And remember, it's not just about reading the words, it's about pondering their meaning and how they apply to your life.
You know, one thing that really resonated with me from the sources was the idea of not just reading the Quran, but trying to embody its teachings in your daily actions.
Yes, that's where the concept of taqwa comes back into play. Remember, it's about that constant awareness of Allah and making choices that align with His guidance.
So it's about integrating those Ramadan lessons into your everyday life.
Exactly. And one practical way to do that is through dhikr, the remembrance of Allah.
So it's not just about formal prayer. It's about weaving that awareness of Allah into your everyday life. I'm curious, how do you personally practice dhikr?
For me, it's about finding those little moments throughout the day to pause and connect with Allah. It could be as simple as saying Alhamdulillah when something good happens, or Subhanallah when you witness something beautiful in nature.
Those little reminders can make a big difference, can't they?
Absolutely. They help you stay grounded and focused on what truly matters.
And another thing that really stuck with me from the research is the emphasis on continuing to do good deeds even after Ramadan.
Yes, that's a beautiful way to keep the spirit of generosity and compassion alive. It doesn't have to be anything grand or elaborate.
It's about those small acts of kindness that can make a big difference in someone's day.
Exactly. It could be helping an elderly neighbor with their groceries, volunteering at a local charity, or simply offering a kind word to someone who's struggling.
It's about carrying that Ramadan spirit of giving and compassion into every interaction you have.
And remember, you're not alone in this journey. Surround yourself with people who uplift you and inspire you to grow.
Yes. Community plays such a crucial role in Islam.
It does. Attend Islamic lectures, participate in community events, seek guidance from those who are more knowledgeable than you. It's amazing how supportive and welcoming the Muslim community can be.
And speaking of community, one of the things I was looking forward to learning more about is Eid al-Fitr, the celebration that marks the end of Ramadan. What can new Muslims expect from this celebration?
Eid al-Fitr is a joyous occasion that marks the end of the month of fasting. It's a time to celebrate with family and friends, enjoy delicious food, exchange gifts, and give thanks for all the blessings in your life.
So it's like a big party after a month of fasting and spiritual reflection?
You could say that there's a real sense of festivity and joy in the air. It's a time to relax, have fun, and reflect on the lessons you learned during Ramadan.
It sounds like the perfect way to wrap up such a special month.
It is, and it's a beautiful reminder that Islam is not just about restrictions and obligations, it's also about joy, celebration, and community.
I love that. So we've talked about ways to keep the spirit of Ramadan alive throughout the year, and we've touched on the joyous celebration of Eid al-Fitr. Is there anything else that's important for new Muslims to keep in mind as they embark on this journey?
One thing that's really important to remember is that Islam is a lifelong journey of learning and growth. There's always something new to discover, something to strive for. Don't be afraid to ask questions, seek knowledge, and continue to challenge yourself to become a better version of yourself.
It's like anything else, the more you learn, the more you realize how much more there is to learn.
Exactly. And there are so many resources available to help you along the way. Books, websites, scholars, mentors. Don't hesitate to reach out and seek guidance from those who are more knowledgeable than you.
That's a great reminder.
Yeah.
It can feel overwhelming at times, but knowing that there's a whole community of support out there can make a big difference.
It definitely can. And remember, every step you take on this journey, no matter how small, is a step closer to Allah.
That's such a beautiful way to put it.
Yeah.
So as we're wrapping up this part of our deep dive, what's one key message you want our listeners to take away from all of this?
Embrace the journey. Islam is a beautiful and enriching way of life. It's full of challenges, yes, but also incredible rewards.
And don't be afraid to make mistakes along the way. It's all part of the learning process.
Exactly. Be patient with yourself, celebrate your successes, and know that Allah's mercy and forgiveness are always there for those who seek it.
And with that beautiful thought in mind, we'll conclude this part of our deep dive into Ramadan for new Muslims. We'll be back after a short break with the final part of our exploration, where we'll tackle some common challenges and misconceptions about Ramadan. Welcome back to our Ramadan deep dive. We've talked about so much, from the deeper meaning of Ramadan to practical tips for fasting, and even how to carry that Ramadan spirit with you all year round.
We have. It's a lot to take in.
It is, but let's be realistic for a moment. Even with the best intentions, there could be challenges that pop up.
For sure.
Especially when you're experiencing Ramadan for the first time.
Especially for the first time.
Yeah. So for this last part of our deep dive, let's address some of those common hurdles and set the record straight.
Okay, sounds good. Where do you want to start?
Well, one thing that came up in the research is that feeling of being overwhelmed.
Uh-huh.
You know, like Ramadan is this huge, intense experience.
Right.
And you have to do everything perfectly.
Yeah.
Any advice for someone who might be feeling that pressure?
It's totally understandable to feel that way, especially at first. Remember, Islam is about ease, not hardship.
Right.
Focus on taking small steps.
Okay.
And making gradual changes rather than trying to become a spiritual superhero overnight.
It's about progress, not perfection.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to ask for help or guidance from others.
Yeah.
You're part of a supportive community, so lean on that support system.
Speaking of support, another challenge that can come up is navigating social situations.
Yeah.
Especially if you're the only one fasting.
Uh-huh.
Any tips for those moments?
Honesty and open communication are key. Just politely explain to your friends or colleagues that you're fasting and why it's important to you.
Okay.
You might be surprised at how understanding and supportive people can be.
And who knows? You might even inspire someone to learn more about Ramadan.
You might. That's a great point.
Okay, let's debunk a misconception I've heard a few times. That you can't even swallow your saliva during Ramadan.
Oh, yeah, that one.
Is there any truth to that?
That's definitely a myth.
Okay.
Swallowing your own saliva is perfectly natural and allowed during fasting.
Okay.
The key is to avoid intentionally consuming anything that would break your fast.
Right.
Like food or drink.
Makes sense. So no need to walk around with your mouth clamped shut.
No, not at all.
Another misconception is that Ramadan is all about deprivation and suffering. What would you say to someone who has that perception?
While fasting does involve abstaining from certain physical needs, it's not about punishing yourself.
Okay.
It's about shifting your focus from worldly desires to something more meaningful.
It's about recognizing that true fulfillment comes from something deeper than just satisfying your physical cravings.
Exactly. Ramadan is an opportunity to reconnect with your spirituality, strengthen your relationship with Allah, and cultivate a deeper appreciation for the blessings in your life.
And it's amazing how those simple acts of self-discipline can lead to such profound spiritual growth.
It is. It's really amazing.
And let's not forget the incredible sense of community and shared purpose that comes with Ramadan.
Yes, absolutely.
From sharing meals at iftar to praying together at the mosque.
Yeah.
There's a beautiful sense of unity and support.
It really brings people together.
It does. So as we wrap up this deep dive into Ramadan for new Muslims, what's the most important message you want our listeners to take away?
Approach this journey with an open heart and a willingness to learn and grow. Ramadan is a gift. A chance to transform yourself from the inside out.
And don't be afraid to make mistakes along the way. Every step you take, every challenge you overcome brings you closer to Allah.
Beautifully said.
And to our listener, as you embark on your first Ramadan, we wish you all the blessings and spiritual insights this holy month has to offer.
May it be a time of profound growth, renewed faith, and deeper connection with Allah.
And with that, we'll conclude our deep dive into Ramadan. We hope you found it insightful and helpful.
Until next time, may peace and blessings be upon you.